Well, hello, my friends. Welcome back to Breakfast with Sergio. This is a new special episode of Artists in Lockdown as I chat with artists from all around the world. Today, we're going to talk about staying the course of your art career. And I have an awesome guest with me, Jennifer Pazienza, joining us all the way from Canada. Hi, Jennifer. Good to see you again. How are you?
Hello, Sergio. It's wonderful to see you. We're hanging in there. We're doing okay.
Absolutely, and super happy to chat with you here once again. I feel like I've known you for years.
I feel the same way.
We've known each other for a while through the Art Next Level Academy, also social media. You actually been a guest also to a previous episode as well in my podcast. So it's been great to connect with you once again. Now, this time under totally very different circumstances, as we all go through this pandemic together, as we all experience the lockdown in totally different ways, right? And kind of bringing all these various experiences, we want to share kind of yours too as well. How has what's happening right now in the world affected you, and in which ways, how are you feeling as you work in your studio? And that's kind of like the goal and the plan for today. So before we talk a little bit about that, let us know where you are in Canada and what's the situation there.
Okay, well, I'm in Atlantic Canada, the province of New Brunswick, and I live on a beautiful ridge, Keswick Ridge. I've been here for almost 30 years. It has won my heart. And very blessed to be living where we live. There's a lot of space around us that we're so grateful for. The situation in New Brunswick, we're a small place, but we do have over 100 cases.
Really?
As of yesterday, that's what you meant, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And what, as of yesterday, we're seeing a decline in the cases every day. So that's good. And we're really praying that by Monday we will have gone. Last week we went 3 days with no cases reported, and then we had a day where one was, and now we're back to. So we're hoping. And in Canada generally, we're cautiously optimistic, I would say. I mean, we not literally relax,
right?
Which we'll probably be talking about social distance. We can't relax any of that, but the curve is beginning to flatten. The last I've read, I'm not an expert, folks, so please, but this is just from what I've been reading. And more particularly in terms of this little place that we live in, which is just outside of Fredericton, people are just doing so many wonderful things, both artists and non-artists, and the way people are coming together and being supportive of each other. It's really been very special.
Very cool. And yeah, we hope that the curve continues to flatten, as we'll be showing this episode probably a few days, after this actual live conversation. So, and it's kind of like an interesting language that now we all have talked about this curve and the flattening of the curve. It has become now part of our vocabulary, which is so interesting. As we go through these things, I wonder how many curves we're gonna see in art.
Well, there's always been a lot of curves in my art. And I think a flat curve is kind of like some oxymoron or something.
Yes, a flat curve, right? That is so true and so interesting. So, Jennifer, tell me a little bit about, how this whole thing that's happening in the world and so on has affected you in some way, and in your work. How are you able to keep working, staying with what you had in mind? You've been working on a new body of work as well. So tell us a little bit about that. What's happening in the studio for you?
Sure. Well, probably like a lot of folks, I have a solo show planned for November, December, jury show, which no doubt will be pushed into 2021.
Yeah.
I hope. I had something coming up this summer, which is a cooperative, and not sure what's going to be happening with that. It may all be sort of online. And I have a duo show with somebody coming up, but the fellow I'm having that show with is a fabulous glass artist. And there's another story there about whether or not we'll be able to do any work together. But in any case, the main work that you're talking about is Embracing the Square, Love Poems from the Ridge. And I'm doing that in conjunction with curator and artist Paul-Edouard Bourque from the Acadian community in New Brunswick. He's an amazing artist and curator, just a lovely person. So that's been great. But it's been a curious kind of experience because now that I'm not really sure when the show's going to be, there's a sense almost oddly that I can breathe a little bit more. I had plenty of time anyway. I mean, I've been working on this triptych that's 3 42-inch squares, which we can talk about here in a minute. But for me, after some confusion about what it is I should be doing, or should I be doing something differently, it just occurred to me that no, Jennifer, you do what you do. You do what you do. And that's basically where I am. I mean, I could say more about that if you'd like, but maybe you want to.
Yeah, no, I think that is very good and very valuable. I was talking to also another artist inside the Academy the other day about, the question was, should I change what I'm doing right now and do something about, in my work, the pandemic, or something about something, because that's what is happening right now. And kind of my answer was like, do what it feels right to you, right? Do what you need to do, what you feel right to you. If you feel like you have the need to do something, do it. You don't need anybody's permission. And if you feel like, you're processing it in a different way, and you want to continue on what you have, on your work, the body work that you've been building, just continue that. I said, imagine if every artist would do something about this, it would be a very dark, hard world, right? We need artists to continue working in what they are doing and continue that path that they have set. And because there's different ways in which we process what's going on in the world.
Yeah, so to your point, I had a great chat with Flavia Testa in our group. Folks listening in may be familiar with her. And of course, Flavia is in Northern Italy. She moved her family from Nova Scotia just shortly before the pandemic hit, right? And I told her, I said, Flavia, I need a reality check here. And she's great at saying it like it is. I mean, I love that about her. And I said, Flavia, I have this sense that somehow, if I'm not doing something that's obviously pandemic related, and I've been here before, Sergio. My work isn't obviously political. It isn't obviously feminist. It isn't obviously, but it is all those things, because it is a poetic practice that responds to the present moment. And I filter the world through me, and out it comes on a canvas. But I just needed to hear, to come to that and hear it and say it to myself again. I mean, when you think about it, the triptych is 3 parts. I mean, in my world, there are references to the Trinity. There are references to the borders between each of them. I mean, we can talk about the things that we associate at this particular time, like we were talking about the flattened curve, that are always sort of present in my work, because my work is always about what's happening in the present moment. And I can't control whether or not people will take the time to actually look and think about this. But one simple example, do you remember 2010 and the BP oil spill?
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I was working on an 8 by 12 foot diptych, 2 8 by 6 foot panels.
Okay.
Folks can see it on my Instagram page or on my website, this huge sky and the BP oil phenomenon happened. And I said to my husband, I said, I'm doing this, what? And then I realized, no, because part of what my work is about too is recognizing what in a moment can be lost.
Right, yeah.
And I said to Jerry, my husband, I said, maybe I should go back through my work and find out everything, keep track of what was going on historically in the world for each one. And then what the titles say, diptych, BP oil spill at this, to let people know I'm not an ostrich with her head in the sand. I know what's going on. Pay attention, it's in there.
Yeah, no, totally. I totally agree about that. And I think, this episode helps many artists that probably maybe in that kind of in between the gap, right? Should I continue working? Should I do something about it? Would I be seen as I don't care about what's going on in the world? And the answer I think it's no, you got to be true to yourself and continue working on what calls you. Like, for example, in my case, I shared the other day, my latest piece completely changed because of this. And it was something like, for me, was kind of bothering me. And like, it was for me kind of like a moment to get over it. Like, okay, I'm going to deal with it right now, and boom, it's over. Now the next few pieces are totally different that I'm working on right now.
But if I can say, I thought that piece was great. And it was absolutely in the process of the way you work. I mean, down to the iconography on the masks with the stencils and so forth. And it also reminded me, because I think a lot about the space, as you're referring to, the space between people, but the idea of like Martin Buber's I and Thou, that spiritual space between. So that was quite pointed in your work. I think absolutely, people have to follow their hearts and stay grounded and centered in what it is that they do. And I know those words sound so trite sometimes. Oh, grounded. Oh, centered. But I mean that sincerely, like to really, hang on, because that's how you stay strong in the world for yourself and for others.
Right.
Is to stay with that. I mean, the piece that you see behind me, I just started yesterday.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what's happening in your studio now. Yeah.
Sorry, but I was just going to say that because of the Embracing the Square show, Love Poems from the Ridge, words I've been sort of keeping track. So the word coupling came to mind recently instead of diptych or instead of coupling. And then when you think of that word in the current context of keeping distance, it takes on a whole other dimension, right? I mean, that's always going to be the case. So yeah, this is just getting started behind me, but that's what I was just saying about thinking about how these things can take on a particular kind of meaning and make things more visible in a way that maybe they wouldn't be before.
Let's talk also a little bit about, the psychological part of this, as you work in your studio, how are you dealing with, because we cannot ignore what's happening out there and all the voices, the news. And we were talking before, actually, we went live, we all have family and friends in other parts of the world, and, being aware of what on touch with them and so on. So how are you dealing with all this? Like when you walk into your studio, you try to leave that behind, tell me a little bit about you, how you get into work.
Well, I walk into my studio and this is no lie, I have to pinch myself to believe that I have a place like this that I can work in. I mean, this wasn't the script I was born into. I've had really wonderful divine interventions in my life that made it possible for me to be where I am. So I want to say that first. So I come out here and I literally, it's part of, I also practice yoga, and I have a belief system. In my world, I believe in the universe, the power of the universe. I believe in God. And so for me, I never really feel alone. When I get into those fearful places, I realize that, I've forgotten. I'm not alone here, right? So when I come into my studio and I look out these windows that I have here, my practice is always, what do you want from me? It has always been, what do you want from me? It's not just about what I want.
Right.
And I know this is going to sound corny, but it's also about service. It's about how can I serve in this way? And a real desire to just sort of be as legitimate, as authentic as I can be. So the psychological part for me, the keeping sane part, the psyche part is soul. We always think of psychology in terms of mind up here, but I'm talking about mind here and the soul. And so for me, there are things that are challenging. I've lived with all kinds of things in my life. I mentioned to you in an email, the business of social distancing. I'm 66. My mom died when I was 9. I've been living with a kind of social distance for a very long time. That's partly what my work is about, of overcoming those kinds of things. So I'm not sure if I'm exactly answering your questions, but I come out here, I get to work. I know that there are things out there that want me to pay attention to them and to recreate them in some way in this space. And there are things in me that have to be said. Some I'm not even sure what they are, but they come through. And afterwards, it's in the thinking about it afterwards and the making sense of my work afterwards that helps too. Thinking about the connections. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense, and you totally answered my question. So wonderful. And before we, we start wrapping it up for today, I would also love to hear how your local art community. I know you are quite involved with your local art community. How are they connecting during this time of distancing? Are you guys doing videos or chats, or how's the community?
We have a beautiful provincial art gallery here, which of course is closed.
Yeah.
But one of the things this situation has prompted them to do was to do more online work. So they're doing videos from the gallery. There's New Brunswick arts folks, and there's a Facebook group where people are posting and talking with each other all the time. They did before, even more so now. Some artists are more inclined toward social media and others not. One of the coolest things is we have a really fantastic art supply store in Fredericton called Endeavors. I mean, I've known Luke Randall since he started it. He was 19. He's 50 something now. And, now everything is online. I have an order. I'm waiting for it. It'll be delivered. So it's a small place, but people are in touch. They're doing cool things. They're talking through social media, Facebook, Instagram, that kind of thing. I have an idea I'm thinking about doing. I don't know if I should say it here or not, but.
Very good. Well, that is exciting. And, I think the local communities is a great way in which now we're trying to figure out how we can help each other out, how we can connect with each other and continue working as artists. So, Jennifer, you've been so awesome. Thank you so much again for being here in the show with us. Tell me, how can our friends find you on Instagram and your website?
Okay, on Instagram, I'm Jennifer Pazienza, very simple. And on my website, I'm jenniferpazienza.com.
Easy.
Very simple, very easy, very easy. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Jennifer. We really appreciate you. Thank you for your time here.
Thanks for having me, Sergio.
Absolutely. We want to say to all our friends, thanks so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends, share it in your social media. Jennifer and I will be so happy to also hear from you. So reach out to us. We would love to hear. Have a great day. We'll see you later. Goodbye.